Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Keith. Keith is from Dallas in Texas in the USA. So let's see what Keith has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello Keith.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. We're finally doing this.
So are you, I believe it's very early morning over there. What's the time now?
It might be early to some people. It's 10 o'clock.
Okay, 10 o'clock. Yeah, on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock is quite early.
In the old days for me, this would be early, but yeah, I'm up. I was up an hour ago. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Keith, before we start the game, just tell me where are you from?
I live in Dallas, Texas. So, which is the third largest city in Texas, but it's the largest like metropolitan area in the state. So,
right.
And I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, which is up north. Boston.
I've been Boston actually. I've been there. Last time I went to America was 3 years ago. I spent some time in Boston, Cape Cod.
Yeah.
The island there.
You can see this. This is my Cape Cod mug. It has all the towns on.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, I grew up, my dad bought a house in Martha's Vineyard when we were kids. So that's an island off of Cape Cod, which is very nice. Yeah.
Right. And I visited as well this city called, it's the gayest city I ever been in my life. It's, what's the name?
Provincetown.
Yes, Provincetown. Yes. Yeah. Oh my Lord. It was an adventure.
It's very gay, yes. Yeah, I was there too. I was there last month, so yeah, it's still kicking. It was a little crowded for my taste with COVID going on, but it was kind of weird. But I had friends who were renting a house, so I took a trip. My family is all up there, so I saw family and friends, and then I went to Martha's Vineyard because my brother lives there now. Then I went to Provincetown after that. So yeah, it was great.
Amazing. And what do you do for a living, Keith?
I am my full-time job is I'm a radio production guy. So I do voiceover work for a group of radio stations here in Dallas. That's it. I just go in and do commercials all day. And then I have an agent here in Dallas. So I do I voice commercials or videos or whatever for them. And then I've done I've done some acting. I don't have the best memory in the world. So I say I hate memorizing things. I don't know if I'm just lazy or I don't have that brain. So I've done some plays and I've done little bit parts in TV shows, but I'm always nervous about memorizing. So I'm better with working off a teleprompter when I have the words in front of me. So, but I do odds, I do work like that on the side. So. Yeah, so I'm sort of an actor. I've done print modeling things for catalogs and yeah.
Very good, very good. And what's the best part of your job, your business as a voiceover? Or the video?
The best part is when I get to put some creativity into it. A lot of the commercials are would be for, I don't want to put any of these businesses down, but sometimes it's just a plumber or a lot of air conditioning businesses down here. It's so hot all the time. So things like that. I yearn to kind of be more creative in my work. And so, sometimes I'll have to redo it because I put a sound effect in and they don't like that, but it was just me trying to have fun and have a good time. And, I moved here 20 years ago to be a creative imaging person for a radio station here, which is when you listen to a radio station, the stuff in between the songs, they say, you're listening to blah, blah, blah. So I kind of got to be creative doing all that stuff. And now my job now it's not as creative. So yeah, the best part is when I can be creative, I guess, to answer your question. Yes.
Very good. Very good.
My coffee. Sorry, I need this.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Keith, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and your point of views?
Yeah, sure.
Great,
yeah.
great.
I'm trying not to think too much, because we were going to do this a couple weeks ago, and I was all, I was thinking of this and that, and so you're getting me as raw as I possibly can be right now. So yeah, that's fine.
Very good, yeah. Very good. Right, so welcome to William and the Magic Box. So what my lovely box full of random fun questions. Right, so I'm just gonna play a song now, just for us to move a little bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, Keith, ready for the first question?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. By the way, if there is a question you don't have an answer for, you don't want to answer, always can change for another one, okay? It's very chill.
I'll do my best. I'm a blank slate, so there you go.
Right, the first question is very easy. So tell me what's the best part living in Dallas, and what's the most challenging part in your opinion?
Well, let's see. The best part is, I have to say, the cost of living, because I told you I'm from Boston originally, which is one of the most expensive cities in the country. It's just very easy to live here. Even like when you do taxes every year, there's no state income tax here, you know. And Dallas, you know, Boston, there's a lot more traffic. It feels like this is a big city, but we have all the amenities here of a big city. But it's just, probably it's a little slower pace of life too. So it's inexpensive for a city this big. People are friendlier than my hometown. I'm sorry to say that. So, but the bad part is, and I feel funny saying this, but probably like the state, probably the politics, I'm not too crazy about. I probably should just leave it there. I don't know. I don't want to be, but I'm not. Texas is a little on the hardcore conservative side sometimes. So it's, I'm a little more balanced than that. Yeah. So.
And what's the COVID situation right now in Dallas regarding the COVID?
Let's see. Well, it is okay. So last night, I've been to a few concerts. I go to a lot of live music things. Last night I went to a soccer match, right? And so I wouldn't say soccer game. You guys know, soccer match. Dallas has a national soccer team, and then a Willie Nelson concert afterwards. If you know who Willie Nelson is, he's a state treasure, the guy with the braids, and nobody really had a mask on. I guess because of the vaccine, we're doing pretty good here. So we're not quarantined. I mean, we're not. I go into work, but we're supposed to wear a mask in the hallways. I don't know the actual numbers, but I turned to my friends. I said, a year ago we wouldn't be able to do this. So it's gotten better, I guess. It is a conservative state, so they tend to be a little less cautious with COVID, but we're doing okay, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Good one.
There's no mandates here. Yes, no mask.
Very good. Let's go for the second question, Keith.
Okay.
Let's do it. Right.
Yes,
Next
sir.
question for you is, did you have an imaginary friend as a kid, and what was her name?
What was her name? No, I didn't have an imaginary friend. As a kid, I was obsessed with, I played with Matchbox cars. I used to make, design little islands, and I had ferry boats, and that was kind of my imaginary world I made. I had a huge, if Matchbox cars are the little, and I had a few Hot Wheels in there too to break up the monotony, and the Hot Wheels had a loop that, that was kind of the thing I was into. My brother had G.I. Joes. I didn't have any imaginary friends. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, if I did, I'd be happy to share, but most of my friends were real, I guess.
And you just have one brother, or you have more siblings?
I have one brother and one sister. I'm the youngest of three. We're all 3 years apart. And my brother was kind of that troubled middle child. We'll just leave it there. We get along these days, and he's been very successful. I love my brother. We're just very different. And then my sister and I are pretty close. So yeah, that's my family. And my folks are gone now, so it's just us three. Yeah, it's good.
And your siblings, they live as well in Dallas or in other states?
They all live in Massachusetts. Yeah. So my sister lives in Plymouth, where the Pilgrims landed. Plymouth Rock.
Been there. I was when I was.
Have you really?
I have, yes, absolutely.
Just a big, we don't even know if that's the real Plymouth Rock, but it's a rock inside a box, basically. And then, and my brother moved to Martha's Vineyard, where we spent our summers growing up. So he lives there year round. I just saw them. So I love it down there. I don't know if I could live there year round, but they seem to be pretty happy. They play pickleball, if you know what that is. And it's kind of like older people's tennis, and they have friends, and they go out in the boat. But I've tried to stay there through the winter, and it's pretty desolate. So, yeah, beautiful place. Yeah.
Next question for you, Keith. Let's do it. Before the next question, and what's the most challenging part of your job, in your opinion?
Most challenging part of my job is having to. It may not sound exciting, but for me, it's, I'm given a script to read, and sometimes the script isn't approved by the client. So my most challenging part is when I just get frustrated when I have to redo something because it wasn't approved before I do it. I'm trying to think of something more creative than that. That's just like my biggest pet peeve. Like, the client will be like, no, I don't like having to go back and change everything. It just really bothers me. So that's probably the most challenging part. And I don't like, and sometimes too, I feel like shouldn't say this, well, especially with COVID, I was working from home, but I feel like I was on call. So I have that feeling of, I don't want to say being useless, but just not doing anything. So that's kind of tough too, is just sitting around. Yeah, so.
All right. Next question for you is, if you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
I would go to, I'm not sure which city, I would go to Australia. I've been fascinated with, even as a kid, I don't know what it is. I just somewhere, like, to me, just seems so far away, obviously the other side of the world. I remember doing like reports when I was a kid on Australia. I was into, obviously I work in the media, so I was, I remember doing reports on like the ABC, which is the Australian broadcasting, yeah, for some reason I want to go there so badly. It fascinates me. And I'd love to see the whole continent, even like out in the middle, like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, when they go out on the bus and stuff into the outback, I've been to the outback, but it's a steakhouse. It's not the, the real outback. So I'd love to go to Australia. Sydney looks beautiful, Melbourne, even New Zealand looks beautiful. Yeah, so I'm kind of fascinated with that part of the country, yeah. Or the world, yeah. The world, yeah. Yeah.
Next question. Let's do it. Okay, Keith. Next question for you is, let's see this one. If you could do something illegal without getting caught, what would you do and why?
Boy, have you ever seen the Purge movies? No, I'm kidding. That's when murder is illegal. Boy, wow, it's a good one. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say drugs. I've been sober for 18 and a half years, so that doesn't really enter my world. Oh God, I don't know. Might be a tough one. No, I tried to clear my mind so thoughts would come into my head. God, I mean, this is Texas. If I was a woman, I'd probably say get an abortion, but that's not right. Might have to edit that. To speed, maybe, to drive 100 miles an hour down the highway, I mean, I've done that before and got caught. So maybe drive faster. I know that's a boring answer, but maybe that, just speed. I mean, I'm not that type. I don't want to, hurt myself, anybody else. I don't want to do anything that, that would affect anybody else negatively. So I think something innocent like driving 120 miles an hour down I-35 through Dallas would be great. Yeah, that'd be a good time.
Good one. Let's go for another question.
Yes.
Before the next question, Keith, and why Dallas? Why you choose to live in Dallas? There was a reason, because of work? What was that?
Yeah, it was because of work. I was a disc jockey on a radio station, a great radio station in Boston, 20 years ago. I was a morning guy, and it was, I love the job. I love that job because I got to meet and interview all my, all these, people I grew up, listening to, or it was just great. I loved the job, but it didn't pay me a whole lot. It was kind of independently owned. And so I started doing that kind of bells and whistles, imaging, sound effect stuff. And somebody heard me down here, the consultant, and I thought they were kidding with me at first, but they offered me a really good job. So yeah, I moved here 20 years ago, and I remember that was I barely knew how to use a computer. Everything was switching over to computers, and I remember taking I felt like such a fraud, but the people who brought me, they believed in me. I got here too, and they gave me tickets to everything to make sure I was happy here, and I did. I remember inside feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe. I felt like I just pulled off this big scam, and but I mean, it ended up being, I love doing what I did. It was a great job. Unfortunately, the company, they sold out to another company. I kind of lost that job, but that forced me to go off into acting and all this other stuff. So, yeah, so I'm still here, but I'm still here. I have a lot of connections here, I guess. So, yeah, but it was work that brought me here originally. I mean, Dallas.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd choose it. Nothing against it. I don't think it was first on my list. Yeah. Gross.
Very good. Next question for you is, what is the best compliment have you ever received? My roommate, I've been going through kind of a lot of, how do I say it, a challenging period recently. I had a relationship end, and I'm kind of reassessing career stuff and my finances and all that stuff. So I've been kind of feeling kind of overwhelmed by all that. And I live with a friend of mine who's living in this home right now, just going through this period. And he said to me this morning, he just said, I'm really proud of you, and you're really delightful to be around. And so that, I know that's probably the most recent compliment I got, but I mean, I find compliments on, personally like that, because I know I wasn't probably, I was just all in my head and probably driving my friends up the wall, just complaining all the time. So I think that is probably the best compliment I can get in general. And the fact that I just got it is kind of in my head. Professionally, whatever. But yeah, things like that, knowing that I want to affect people around me positively. So that's the best compliment I can get. Yeah. Very good. Sometimes those simple compliments can change our day or our moods, and us.
Yeah.
A lot of things. It makes give impact on us. Sometimes not betting.
It does, yeah, and it kind of enforces that, that feeling that you're doing something right. When if you spend a lot of time thinking that you're always doing something wrong, and then you find out you're doing something right, I think you should pay attention to that for once, instead of all the negative crap in your head. So
very
good.
Mm-hmm. You'll be very happy to see that the interview in the future.
Oh, I'll play it back. I'll play back that part. Yeah, remember. Yeah. And yeah, and I just felt grateful, that I had. It was fun. I think I was telling you, we went to like a Willie Nelson concert last night, and Willie's this, he's just like, he's 88 years old, and he smokes pot all the time, and just going and just watching this guy play, and it was just great. I'm not going to say it was a religious experience, but it was somebody I always wanted to see perform, and it was just, he's just so cool to me. So yeah, it feels good. When you do the right thing, or when you act in a positive manner, it just seems like everything around you, I mean, of course I should know this at my age, but everything around you just kind of falls into place. So yeah. And same thing with negativity, it just doesn't get you anywhere. So yeah.
Good. Right, Keith, let's get on for you. Next question for you is, what is the worst pickup line have you ever heard?
Oh God, the worst one. I mean, I hate I really think it's the lamest "don't I know you from somewhere" kind of thing. I've heard a lot I've heard a lot like, I've heard a lot in my life that I always look like someone else, and So I just think that's like, I think as far as a pickup line, I wish I could think of something more creative than that, but it's just like, don't I, people actually say that, aren't, or weren't you in my, going back to college, weren't you in this class, or like, no. So I just think that's a bad one. I would never say that to anybody, unless I did know them somewhere, but yeah. But usually they don't. Yeah, that's a lame one.
Some of them can be a bit cheesy, isn't it? Some kind of graphic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can work. Sometimes it can work. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Depends on how it comes. Depends how.
Yeah.
Out, you know what I mean? But some of them is a bit like, ooh.
Yeah. If it's a definite, it's a definite pickup line. I mean, if they point out, if it's something, if they mention some place you've actually been, or if there's some truth to it, it might be okay. But yeah, I just think that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'd have to think about that. Yeah. So.
Good one. Very good.
Still like waking up. Yes.
Next question, Keith. Let's do it. Before the next question, did you always have the support of your family being a gay man?
That was, I'm gonna say no, and it's not tragic or anything. My story is that I knew that I knew that I was gay from a young age, and I made it to about 26, 27 years old without kind of acting on it or being honest with myself about it. I moved away, and I didn't have any experiences or anything. I had girlfriends growing up. I didn't get, officially intimate with them, but I always had girlfriends. And I think part of my drinking, that's where alcohol came in to help me. And I passed out on them. And so I made it to about 26, 27 years old. At 26, I was living for 6 months, I lived in a place called Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's basically between Chicago and Detroit. And I remember just kind of, I was a DJ, I was an overnight disc jockey, getting paid $200 a week. And I just remember knowing inside, just having this, I got to deal with this. And, but I was still so scared. I was really scared of being gay for some reason. I just wouldn't act on it. And then I reached a breaking point. I got in my car and I moved to LA. And it was like, my family was in Massachusetts. So for me, my mother was pretty religious, and I couldn't come out. For some reason, I couldn't come out to them. So I moved to Los Angeles, where I lived for 5 years. God knows what I did. I mean, that was my coming out period. So when I came back, it was after my mom had passed away suddenly. And so, but I came out to my father and my sister and my brother, and they were, as far as I could tell, accepting of that. So, but at that point, I was in my early 30s. So, yeah. So I kind of got away from them to deal with it till I realized I was gay, which I knew anyways. And then I guess, yeah, it wasn't some big dramatic coming out story. It was just get away from them, be gay, come back. I am gay. Yeah. So that's my story. Yeah.
Great.
But they're accepting now, yeah. So I would say yes now. Yes, they have to be.
Very good. Tell us a funny story or a moment that happened to you at school when you were a child.
God, I don't know. The one story, well, I mean, I was a kid. The one story that I remember with my brother, although we were in Chicago, I wasn't in school, but I remember my brother, who was, he was always trying to make me look bad. And I remember him, we were at the top of the John Hancock building, which is one of the skyscrapers there. I was in there recently. It's kind of funny. It reminded me of it. He dared me to open an emergency door. And I did, to impress my brother. And the alarms went off for the whole building, and security was, it was crazy. Yeah, so what's really weird is that he called me on my birthday. We always call each other on our birthday. And he called me when I was up there with my ex. We were up in the observatory of that building, and it was just so strange. So that comes to me as a childhood memory. It's kind of funny, but yeah, and it was scary because I was 7 years old. So
wow.
It was kind of funny in retrospect, yeah. But school, I mean, all I remember about, especially being younger, just like being obsessed with like Narnia books, and we played kickball, which is strange because kickball is making a resurgence here. It's a big gay kickball league. And I played a couple years. It's kind of funny. But yeah, childhood-wise, that's all I kind of remember about school. Yeah.
I believe your father is older than you then.
Yeah, he's 3 years older than me. Yeah. So,
oh yes, just the middle one, the youngest one, the youngest
he's
child.
troubled. Yep, I'm the baby. Yep, that's me.
Like they spoiled one, yeah.
Little bit, yeah, by my parents, yeah.
Next question.
Okay.
Right. Next question for you is, who has been the most influential person in your life and why?
You know, I think I'm at a point right now. I might not have said this back in the day, but I think that my father probably is a really good one as far as a personal level. I didn't, you know, my father passed away in 2002. I kind of lost both my folks when I was in my 30s, and so he, you know, I look back on all, like, I never realized how fortunate we were growing up. My dad was so good with money, which is something that I admire now. I definitely admire as I've grown up. I think of all the, you know, we had this house that was staying in Martha's Vineyard, and I remember like all the, especially when I got my college years, my folks were divorced. They got back together again, but I mean, I had huge parties at this house. He gave me, you know, like 3 or 4 cars, like growing up, and every one of them I just kind of drove into the ground. I was very, you know, my dad was just so, like, so patient and just, I don't know, he was just really, everything about him in retrospect is really the way we should all be living our lives, I think. Just such a good man. And I say he's good with money, but that's just an example of how he was very practical. You know, he might have even been a little bit cold. He was an only child, so maybe that affected him that way. But in retrospect, everything about him I hold my father in high regard. So I try to be like that. I think in terms of, you know, professionally, you know, when I was a DJ, I always wanted to be a disc jockey. That was my thing as a kid, and I would make little tapes and everything. And I think growing up, like as I got into the actual field, you know, I remember as I first started out in radio, Robin Williams had this movie called Good Morning Vietnam. He played this, you know, wacky DJ, and he actually got nominated for an Academy Award. I don't think he won, but it was like that happiness and that excitement. So I always consider him to be kind of somebody I aspired to be in radio, and also Howard Stern, who is one of my favorite, you know, radio personalities. So personally, Dad, and then professionally, probably those two. Even though Robin Williams wasn't a real disc jockey, but you know, his character was. So, yeah.
Very good one. Love the answer. Very good. Next question, Keith. Let's do it. Next question for you is, who was your first crush and why?
All right. Well, this I know. Okay, so being a gay guy, this might date me a little bit, but I remember it wasn't. I don't remember, you know, an actual person. I remember TV. Obviously, it was Eric Estrada, who was on Chips. I'm sure a lot of gay guys can relate to that, who were growing up in the 70s, basically. Yeah, with this little, you know, tight police uniform, and yeah, that was it. And I didn't actually know. I don't think I really knew why. And actually, now that I think about it, there's two of them. There was him, and then there was Starsky and Hutch. And I didn't realize what it was, but yeah, they were crushes at a very young age. So I think about cops, I guess.
Was something connected with some kind of, you know, like desire, some kind of
yeah, maybe. Yeah, they were both kind of, you know, they both kind of had a sense of humor, and they were, you know, sexy guys and attractive guys, obviously, but yeah, and they seemed like they had a sense of humor about themselves or something. Yeah, so I kind of look for that, yeah, these days.
Very good. Okay, Keith, I have 3 questions left for you, okay? Let's do it. Right, before the next question, for example, sometimes if you close your eyes and you think about Boston, your childhood, what's the first best memory come to your mind?
There's so many. It's such a great city. I loved everything. I have kind of like this thing about, I have tremendous fear of heights, as most people do. You know, I think it's kind of weird. Like I have kind of have an aversion even to like roller coasters and the feeling of being dropped and everything. But as a kid, I loved going to the top of, actually it's not open anymore, the tallest building in Boston is the John Hancock. And there's also the Prudential building. So I used to love going up in the buildings. And actually, this is back, you know, back a while ago. I remember I used to go into Boston with like friends, because my town that I grew up in was right at the top of the T, which is the subway. So you could take the train into Boston, and we'd go in and on a Saturday. And I remember going to the record store. This is probably junior high or something, but I had a huge record collection. I was obsessed with radio and music and all this stuff. And we'd go to Strawberries, which was the big record store in Boston, and then go to the Prudential building. And you could like play on the elevator. You could take the elevators up without actually going out to the thing. So it was kind of cool. We take the elevators up. I'm such a dork for saying this, but it was so much fun. Like, I just remember going to either one of the buildings, and like when the elevator gets to the top, it kind of like drops. And I say I don't like things that drop, but we jump up and like just be so, like, that would be like a free thrill. Going up in the elevators in tall buildings. I even think of that now. We go to like the World Trade Center and the elevator drops, and that just sticks to me. So, you know, and also my dad was a newspaper guy, so he got tickets to everything. We used to go to, you know, Celtics games. I remember being a little kid and how loud the basketball games were, and, you know, things like that. So I don't know if there's just one particular memory, but probably like, you know, going up in the skyscrapers or buying records or going to sporting events. Boston's a great city to grow up in. You know, we had an aquarium, we had Museum of Science. There's just so much to do. So, yeah.
I remember when I was in Boston. I remember going to the Red Sox. You know, the baseball.
Did you go?
I did. Oh. I did, but I didn't saw the game. I just wanted to visit during the day. We went there for. Oh my God! Well, the first time I've been in America. Feels like that. I was like, wow,
yeah,
my God,
yeah.
Easy.
That's one of the smallest. It might be the smallest baseball field too, but I think the oldest. I'm going to say this. There might be one older, I forget, but it's Baltimore. But yeah, that's very American. Yes.
Next question for you is:
yes.
Tell us about your best holidays and why you consider that.
My best holiday. I actually remember. That's a good question, because it was Christmas, and it was 2005. And the reason I remember that was that I was here in Dallas, and I was dating this guy, and I had been sober for a few years, and I owned a home here in Dallas, which I don't right now. But I remember the house had, I'll try and make this quick, the house had this really neat room off the back, and TV room that I built into the theater. And all of a sudden, it developed like this sinkhole, and the floor started caving in. It was embarrassing. And so I had to get all this construction done on the house. I didn't expect to. So I had to, I don't know, charge it a credit card or whatever. And my friend, the guy I was dating, worked for American Airlines. And so we were gonna, I forget, he got me a, pass. We were gonna fly home to see my family for Christmas, and it conspired that, and I'd gone home every holiday at that point. I'd lived in Dallas for like 5 years, and I remember that I couldn't go. Just financially, I had to come to the decision that I could not go home that year. And I remember just being so like frustrated. I was very spoiled. I used to be a lot more spoiled, I think, and if I didn't get my way. And I remember finally just accepting that I could not go home that year for Christmas. And so we stayed here in my little house. It's a beautiful home, and I had friends over. I had like 3 or 4 friends over, and we had dinner. We cooked dinner, and I made the most out of that moment, I guess. It was just one of those things where we say in, recovery, it's about having acceptance. And so I accepted the situation, and it was everything flowed. I'm like saying, it was kind of like that positive energy I was talking about. Just when everything flows, you're in the right place. My family was fine. They didn't really care. And so I shouldn't say they didn't care about it. It was like the nicest holiday ever. And I have pictures of that still, and that was a great memory. So like, I knew I was doing the right thing, and everything just fell into place. So yeah.
Very good. Very good. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Right. Next question for you is, tell me something that you have done that you feel very proud of yourself.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. It is probably, I've done a lot of things in Dallas, which is funny. And I remember when I went to Los Angeles thinking I was gonna, have a TV show and do all these things. And I ended up being kind of a drunk and partying for 5 years. But Dallas, I could probably go professionally. I moved here to work for a radio station and do all the fun bells and whistle stuff. And after I was here for a year, they said, hey, we're going to change this radio station. And it was kind of like this cool adult rock radio station. And then they go, we're going to change it to this radio station called The Bone. I don't know if you know a lot about like rock, American rock and roll, or just rock and roll in general. You probably do. And so it was this radio station playing like all these hard rock bands that I kind of grew up listening to, like Van Halen and Def Leppard and all, hey, these, so it was a whole new world for me. And I mean, I like all that music, but I was like, okay, so I was the imaging guy. So I got to just be the most creative I could ever be. And the radio station, I just remember when that first came on the air, I had to do this half-hour piece with like, I had to work on it behind closed doors for months because we couldn't tell the salespeople, and it was just this top secret project. And when I finally went on the air, it was just like I sat here, got like feeling, and Dallas is the fourth or fifth like largest radio market in the country, and the station was just so popular. It was just bam right out of the gate. So knowing that I created the first bit of sound that was ever heard on that radio station, it was like the epitome of that job. It was so awesome, and I felt incredibly humbled. And the big, the big brass, the big boss, and everybody, it was in the same room as them as they're listening to this, and I just remember that feeling of, wow, I did that, and it was very successful. And it's like everything I'd learned or gone through up to that point just became, I know at this point, and that was like 17 years ago. It's kind of sad. I'm just trying to come up with the first thing that comes into my head, obviously. So that's kind of what it is. Would say so. Yeah.
Good one. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm glad this question came up to you.
Yes.
Ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Before the last question,
yeah.
Since last year when the world went upside down, March last year, the lockdown and everything, what's the most positive thing you took out of this challenge journey that the world has been facing since the COVID hit last year?
I think overall, it's got to be the fact that I know this is I don't understand first of all, I'll say I don't understand the people who have problems wearing masks or getting vaccinated. I'll say that's kind of where I am in my mind. But I think that the people who have worn masks and have done everything they can gotten vaccinated, have done everything to help prevent this from getting worse. I think that feeling that we're doing it for others, like when you wear a mask, it's not really for you. And I'm not, I know it sounds like a little bit of a platitude here, but it's we're doing that for others. So I think the fact that we are there for other people. Sadly, sometimes it takes a tragedy like this, like 9/11, and I remember, I wasn't in New York, but I remember seeing the videos, and I guess at one time every day that people would open the windows in the city and applaud the, healthcare workers. So I think, again, it's that spirit of thinking of others, caring about others, which is, taking care of yourself and not spreading it. So I think that's got to be the best thing that comes out of it. It makes me sad, and I try to tune out the opposition to that, or the people, this my body, my choice crap when it comes to masks, or whatever. So I think it's that feeling of us taking care of others that has come out of it, and it's not very hard to do. I mean, how hard is it to just do those things,
Cool. Last question for you is, what was your worst foot in mouth moments?
My first foot and mouth moment?
Worst. The worst one.
I didn't talk a lot about the whole recovery thing, but I had a drinking problem. I've been in AA for about 18 and a half years, and I knew there was a problem. I was at I was when I was in Boston, I was the morning disc jockey at this radio station, and whenever we had concerts or whatever, I would tend to drink a little too much. And I think that we had an event, a concert at, a brewery, of all places, of course, in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I remember getting up on stage. I don't remember very well, but barely, getting up on stage and introducing a band, but trying to be funny or whatever. And I guess I swore quite a bit, was dropping the F-bomb and stuff. And it was a family event, so it didn't go over real well. I can just remember there being this awkward silence, like something out of a movie. And and my boss, that month, it was on weekend, and I remember, I had friends there and coworkers who I normally would have socialized with there and afterwards, and I just remember having to be taken home and waking up with a hangover the next morning and being spoken to that following Monday by my bosses, suggesting I might want to go to an AA. So I did, but it took me a couple more years to figure that out for good. So that was pretty bad. I mean, I've had a few of those, because I'm one of those guys who I do try to practice humor in life. Sometimes it doesn't go over so well, but yeah, that's probably the worst. That's probably the worst, most cringeworthy, foot and mouth, thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just have one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with politics.
Ooh, left. That's where I am. I don't know.
Religion.
Spirituality.
Love.
Unconditional.
Money.
Evil.
Family.
Oh God, connection, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sex.
Expression.
Okay. How about fear?
Useless. Although it's not always. What's that?
Friendship.
Valuable.
Desire.
Motivation.
Regrets.
Useless.
Success.
Personal. Like
Wish.
Happy. I don't know.
How about happiness? One word for happiness.
Happiness. Oh God, happiness. Just a glow, I think. Glow, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me one word for Dallas.
One word for Dallas. Slow. A little slow. When I first moved, I've gotten used to it, but it's like, I remember I had an apartment, like a loft, it was kind of right downtown. I was like, when does this place pick up? So it's nice though. Like I said, it's inexpensive. It's, it's okay. Tall buildings. Yeah. So just a little slow.
How about one word for Boston?
Oof. Determined. I think Boston's but it's diverse too. I could say diverse. It's changed a lot. It was very Irish, white Catholic growing up. It seems like, because of all the colleges, there's a diversity that I like there now. But it's you see it in the sports teams. They're just, ride or die kind of, so, and I'm proud to say I'm from there. So there's a lot of personality there. Yeah.
And tell me one word for USA.
I hate to sound like a bumper sticker, but I would say freedom. From what I understand about a lot of the world, we do have freedoms that I don't know that we always appreciate. So and we should be free as long as it doesn't hurt others. So yeah.
Ooh.
Great quality.
And the last one now, radio. One word.
Radio. I'll say fun. That's why I got into it. I mean, I went to college. I have a bachelor's degree in mass communications, thinking I had to have a college degree to be on the radio. No, you don't. But you know, I was saying I had a little tape recorder, and that was the thing. You know, other kids play firemen or whatever. I played disc jockey. So for me, it was fun. It's still fun. When I tell people what I do, they're like, "Oh, cool," but you know, it's kind of gotten routine, the job I have now. But I would say fun. I mean, you can't be happy in a job unless you're having fun. You know, no matter what you do, you have to find the fun in it. So, yeah.
Again, so let's pretend I'm going to your best friend for a coffee, instead of the tea. And I'm gonna ask your best friend, tell me the most beautiful thing about Keith, and tell me something that he still needs to improve on. What do you think your best friend will tell me?
Beautiful is that I think I care about others. I think I do have this. It's kind of weird. This could be a contradiction in what I'm going to say. Like, I do have a genuine love and care for others. I want to see that other people are having a good time. I think that I still, with that said, I think I still need to work on a little bit of self. You know, and I think sometimes, quite honestly, it's fear that, you know, drives it, but a little bit of that self-centeredness, maybe. You know, the compliment my friend gave me this morning was a lot, because I am, you know, I'm taking some serious steps to improve myself to help others. And I think that we all have a bit of self-centeredness in us. And I always think of one of the big things is like the airline rule, which is like you put your mask on so that you can assist others. You know what I mean? So I'm always going to be working on, you do have to work on yourself, and you need to put that mask on yourself, but is walking that fine line of taking care of yourself while not letting that become an obsession and still caring about others. So, and I'm like that in relationships too. So, sometimes I actually go the other way in a relationship where I care a little bit. I kind of focus on the other person, maybe a little bit too much. So that's the fine balance, I would say, is to really care about others without becoming too self-centered. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting. What's your star sign, just for curiosity?
Aries.
Aries.
April 19th. So I'm on the cusp of an Aries and a Taurus. My brother, the troubled, mean middle child, is a Taurus, so I figure I might, you know, we seem very different, but I might have a little touch of him in there, yeah. So, April 19th, Marathon Day in Boston, by the way. Yes.
Is he in London as well? Is London as well?
Oh, it is?
It's on the marathon, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called Patriots Day in Boston.
Yes, I remember. Yes, of course, the situation that's happened in the past, the bomb and everything.
Yeah,
I remember. Right, Keith, let's play now, Keith, and the matchbox, and you can ask me a question, okay? But you can ask me a question now.
Let's see. Okay, so we talked about the USA a little bit. So I don't know your history of traveling here, but where is your favorite place in our fair country?
Rude.
You don't have to say Boston. Although if you don't, no, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Right, I've been very fortunate since I've been living in Europe. I had the chance to travel around Europe a lot and a few countries in Europe. But I'll tell you something now. When I started, there is a place actually in America that when I started studying English, I was 12 years old, and I always been very fascinated with the language itself, the English language. And I don't know why, but when I was studying at the time, I always had a fascination about New York. Always like, I just had this thing about New York, you know, being one day in New York. And I was there 3 years ago when I visited for the very first time, and I remember, my God, it was like a trip to remember forever. It was like 4 days. It was a short trip, 4 days, but I made the most I could. And I think New York, it was a place that was always a desire to be there. I don't know why, there was this connection with New York. And I would say New York. I think that's I think when I was there, London felt a bit smaller compared with New York. Anyway, I was just as a tourist, you know what I mean, a different approach on the city as a tourist. But I think I enjoyed the most I could. I think I was, so yes, I would say New York right now. I would say New York was a place where I always wanted to go for some reason. And when I was there, it just like met all my expectations, because it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I remember being in New York, I've been around the city. I remember the time when I realized I was in New York. I remember I was walking, going to the Central Park, and I remember seeing this guard man, like controlling the traffic in the street, like this. I was like, oh my God, I can see that I'm in New York now, because I couldn't see the gentleman, like seeing the movie. Yeah. I realized I'm in New York right now. So yeah, a great moment. So yeah, that's my answer to you.
I would agree. I actually want to live. I was saying that's the one place I really do want to live before I get too old to live there. I lived in Los Angeles in my 20s and in my 30s. And you know, people say you should live in LA or New York once in life, whatever. I'd go back to Los Angeles if the work was there, but I lived there like in the 90s. So there were earthquakes and Rodney King riots and, you know, fires and floods, and but New York, you know, my family's up that way. I absolutely love New York. You know, going to shows there, and they've got all the tall buildings, you know, to go up in, and, you know, those little things I like. So I agree with you on that. So yeah, I mean, Boston is tiny compared to New York. So yeah, I want to live
But
there.
I must say, I had a great time in Boston as well. In Cape Cod, you know what I mean? Sitting there, the Kennedy, like museum and everything. Plymouth as well. Plymouth, my God, what a surprise! So, like, and I was with an English friend, and he was very into history. He was telling me all the story about Plymouth, how the British colony arrived there, and everything. I was like, wow. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah, it was good weather as well, of course. I enjoyed the most I could.
So that was
Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the experience?
I had a very good time. Thank you. Yeah, and I basically got to wake up with you, so that's good. I'm sorry I kept grabbing my coffee with my Cape Cod. Can you see the towns? And you talked about Provincetown and
yes.
Yeah, I'm just there. This is my favorite coffee cup. It's real big, so I need a little coffee in the morning.
So it means I'm guessing to have one of those. You're gonna send me over one day as a present. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be back up there. My nephew's getting married in Connecticut in a few weeks, so I'll be back. I seriously would. If you give me your address, I'll see if I can find this again. I think we got it at the Christmas tree shop on Cape Cod. So, hey.
Good one.
Yeah.
Keith, just before you go, if you don't mind, just to share a positive message or a positive quote, something that inspires you in life.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I touched on it before is just, you know, think of others. You know, take care of yourself and think of others is the best thing we can do right now. There's, you know, just one of the things that I just feel saddened right now by some of the stuff going on where people are more concerned with themselves than others. And I think there has to be that balance. So take care of yourself and think of others is all I can say. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. It was a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for the interview as well. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure. Okay. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show, and I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.